There's a piece of advice that gets thrown around a lot that you may have heard before. And it goes like this: you need a mentor. Most people think that looks like this.
Hear you nothing that I say. You must unlearn what you have learned.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No, try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
But in reality, mentorship in 2021 looks a lot more like this. I think there are a few reasons that people get this wrong. The first reason is that people want to be sought out. They don't want to seek. We all want to be identified. We don't necessarily want to be the identifier. Fundamentally, humans crave an external validation of that sense of greatness or worthiness. And when it comes to finding a mentor, people want that mentor to be that validation. Now, this is neither good nor bad, but it is kind of how human beings operate. And more importantly, it's the opposite of how the mentorship equation works. Now, it's not often that a mentor identifies you. Usually you have to go and ask for it. If you are someone who has a mentor who has sought you out and is investing in you personally, that is an incredibly valuable opportunity and something that you should hold on to and cherish. As humans, we tend to focus on ourselves a lot. So if you find someone who is uniquely skilled and they're willing to teach you what they know, that is an incredibly valuable relationship that is going to bring so much personal value to your own life. Personally, I've never had a mentor in a traditional sense. I've never came across someone who has both a skill set that I desire and is a great teacher. You really need both of those things operating in tandem for a great mentor. That being said, I've had a lot of awesome people in my life who have contributed to who I am, and they've helped develop me as a person. But it hasn't been in that traditional mentor sort of role that you might be thinking. Now, that being said, I've wanted mentors before. Don't get me wrong, I love the mentor idea. There's something that clicks deep inside of me when I think about having a mentor for life or for business or for relationships, someone who can guide you. But for whatever reason, I haven't had that. Early on, this troubled me. I remember wanting to have a mentor and wondering where everyone else was finding their mentors. I craved that external affirmation, but didn't find it in that mentor type figure. I remember a sense of feeling left out, or maybe I was doing something wrong, or maybe I just didn't have that sort of spark that attracted a mentor. There was lots of self-doubt because it seemed like having a mentor for your life was a very good move, and yet it seemed so challenging to find one. Somewhere along the way, when I was thinking about mentors and mentorship, I came down to these two factors that I think, for myself, any mentor should have. One, the mentor needs to have done something that I want to do. And two, they need to be someone I want to be like. This doesn't mean I have to want to replicate them fully, but in some aspect of their life or some part of who they are, I have to want to emulate that myself. But what I found, even after settling on these criteria, was that the pool of potential mentors was still small. And I mean extremely small. And yet, I still wanted to learn and grow, so what was I meant to do? In my opinion, if the dark side of mentorship is a deep need to be validated and seen by an external source, the other side of that coin is a genuine desire to learn and grow and become a better person overall. Realizing I had the desire to learn and grow is probably one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. I began to identify as someone who wanted to learn, who wanted to grow. And when that desire becomes integrated with your identity, that's when you really begin to make traction because you consider it to be a part of who you are. You can apply this kind of thinking to anything that you want to achieve. And when you begin to integrate it into your identity, it becomes just something that you do. It's not something that you have to try to do or that you want to do. It's who you are, therefore you do it. Earlier in life, I felt like I was lacking because I didn't have a mentor, and that because I didn't have a mentor, it was going to somehow impede my success. Now, a mentor may make your path a little bit easier, and they may be able to point you in a direction faster or more quickly, or help you overcome some hurdles that they overcame. But in reality, in 2021, you do not need a mentor. Now, having a mentor may make things easier in some regards. They may be able to help you avoid some of the challenges that they faced. But in 2021, not having a mentor is not a serious barrier to success. People in past generations would be shocked if they knew the wealth of information available to us through podcasts, through books, through a simple Google search. The value of the internet is that now we can interact on a daily basis with domain experts in any field that we choose, and we can see how they think, how they see the world, what their perspective is, how they're doing what they're doing. There's so much value out there if you want it, if you seek it out. And it's not an exaggeration to say that if there's something that you want to do, if there's something that you want to learn, you can learn it online. In fact, I would go so far to say that these resources like podcasts and audiobooks, things of that nature, actually provide a better form of mentorship than we have ever seen before. I like to call this mentorship at a distance. So when someone asks me, do I have a mentor? The way that I see it is that I actually do have mentors. I have mentors from very specific domains and fields, people who have specific knowledge of things that I want to know about, things I specifically want to learn about. And because of the internet, I have access to these people in ways that we never would have before. So this mentorship at a distance allows me to learn from some of the greatest minds on the earth today. For myself, there are two ways I've filled this mentorship gap in my life. This list isn't meant to be exhaustive. There are so many resources out there, and this list could be 50 items long. But for myself, I think that these two things have been the most helpful in reshaping my thoughts and helping me understand what's possible in life. Hands down, the very first resource that has changed my life and continues to change my life over and over again is a Google search. And you may laugh when you hear this, but I'm telling you, being good at Googling something is an art form. You can solve so many problems just by looking it up online. You would be shocked. You want to do a home repair project? No problem. Just go look it up online. You want to learn how to code? Okay, cool. Just go look it up online. You want to learn how to make YouTube videos like this? Okay, just Google it and you will find some answers that will start you on the path. In fact, I can't think of a better skill than this, to be honest, because it's kind of the starting point of all other skills. If you become good at this, you are going to be able to explore your interests, your passions, the things that you find intriguing, all online. And this is going to lead to a whole new world. Whether that's a business opportunity or just a hobby you want to pick up, you can go anywhere with it. I don't think I'm overstating this to say that learning how to search for things well really is one of the greatest skill sets of our time. The second resource that has completely changed my life are podcasts. Podcasts are similar to a Google search where you can find so much information from experts in their fields talking about all manner of things, almost anything. If you can think about it, someone's making a podcast about it. This is just incredible. If you want to listen to history, you can go listen to Hardcore History. If you want to go listen to some of the best news, go listen to the New York Times Daily Podcast. If you're interested in data analytics and how statistics apply to politics today, go listen to the 538 podcast. The level of specificity and just how deep you can take this with podcasts is incredible. And this might seem obvious to a lot of you who are already listening to podcasts, who are already Google searching everything. But if you aren't doing these things, this unlocks a world to you that was previously unseen. You may wonder why I'm not putting books on this list. I think books are great. You can learn a lot from books. But one thing about books I've found is sometimes I'll read a book and I'll read a single chapter, and then I'll read the next chapter, and then I'll read the next chapter. And it seems like I'm getting the same message over and over and over again. Sometimes with a book, I wish that I just got a single sheet and I read that piece of paper and I pretty much got the entire idea. So from an efficiency standpoint, I don't like books as much because it's a much larger time commitment to put into reading an entire book as opposed to a 30-minute podcast or a quick Google search. I still do read books and I do love books, especially fiction books. I love the way that fiction can draw you in when you're reading it. And with fiction books, I do tend to like having that physical copy of the book itself. I just find that to be a really enjoyable experience. But on the whole, I do find that books tend to be a bit tedious and they tend to repeat themselves and in general seem to be unnecessarily long. The amount of value that Google searches and podcasts have brought into my life is really immeasurable. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here right now making this video if it weren't for the internet, if it weren't for Google searches, if it weren't for YouTube. And I count from afar some of the mentors on the YouTube platform, like Ali Abdaal or even Casey Neistat, who I started watching several years ago, and just realizing that these people ran really successful businesses off of YouTube, sharing value, sharing content online. This is an incredibly fascinating idea to me. And it all stems from those Google searches, from podcasts, from other content where you can learn anything you want. And I'm a good example of what it looks like to have these mentors from afar, from people that you're inspired by, that you learn from, and then you can implement the things that they say into your own life. I've had plenty of mentors from afar that I've really found online, whether that's Sam Harris talking about philosophy, or people like Ali Abdaal and Casey that I just mentioned, who kind of show that it's possible to make content, put it out into the world, and eventually run a successful business off of it. These sort of people have shown when you share your ideas online, there is now an audience for it, and there's a platform for it, which is so incredibly exciting. I've been incredibly fortunate to come across some of these people early on in life who have been so important in shaping how I think and how I see the world. If you resonate with anything that you see in this video, or you've been wondering yourself about why you don't have a mentor or why it's hard to find a mentor, I would encourage you to flip that narrative on its head and go out and find mentors. Go out online and find people that you want to be like. Find people you want to learn from, and start taking in their content, start taking notes, and then start implementing what they are saying. There has never been an easier time to find a quality mentor, and I would highly encourage you to do it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.